have Tommy Emmanuel here, who's one of my absolute favorite guitarists in the world. I want to keep moving my chair forward so I can see everything that Tommy plays.
Yeah, no, actually, he wants to keep moving his chair forward because he wants to be bigger in the picture. He wants me to look small. That's what he's really doing.
Tommy, how do you get so great on the guitar? There's so many different things that you do well. So many different types of guitar playing. You're a great electric guitar player. You're incredibly well versed in so many different genres, and your arrangements utilize so many different types of guitar things. Whether it's like I've seen you do your, you know, the cascading harmonics and things like that.
I mean, I got it directly from Chet Atkins.
Yes.
As all of us did,
yes,
really.
That's
he
right.
was the first person to make that sound.
Yeah.
On a record, and it was a long time ago. It was in probably the late 40s or early 50s.
Yeah.
Lenny Bro came along and took it to another level. I just found ways of doing it myself that I tried to come up with arrangements of songs that the public would know, like
Yes.
Michelle,
Yep.
Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I also have an arrangement of Secret Love, which incorporates some other harmonics too. Right, so it has a bit of everything. You can't, this guitar's not super loud, and Mr. and Mrs. Gibson loaned me this today, and it's got very light strings on it. I use heavier strings. Just wanted you to know that. But
there are so many different stylistic things. There's a lot of really sophisticated jazz harmony that you do in there.
Well, they're the surprise moments, you know. I know. I saw your interview with Sting and Dominic, and Sting is so right about that. We need to be surprised because actually, surprise equals entertainment, you know. And I learned that from Penn and Teller. And so surprise me is a beautiful thing. So, you know, I went looking for stuff that is purposely not predictable. And
that's where it gets in those more sophisticated harmony. You're really combining so many different styles of harmony in that right there.
Well, you know, I have a lot of people to thank for that. You know, Chet, of course, Jerry Reed, Ray Charles, George Benson, and Lenny Bro, of course, and every jazz player that I've ever come across, and piano player. I remember one time I was walking through an airport, I can't even remember where it was, and I heard this piano playing, and and he was playing Moon River, and he went, you know, Moon River, right, and he wasn't singing, and then he went, and I went, holy smoke, what was that? You know, because guitar players don't think that's right. This piano. And I said, I got to steal that straight away. So I sat down and got my guitar and worked it out. And then I thought, okay, how can I vary it? Because I can't use it every time.
Right.
So the second time.
Yeah.
Then. So forth, and I'm trying to do piano things on the guitar to be different because I don't want to be sounding like every other kind of chordal melody kind of guy, you know.
When you're working on an arrangement, is there some style of harmony that you like to use? If you're playing a Beatles tune, for example,
right? Okay? But then I go for the vocal harmonies.
I was wondering about that because I noticed that.
Yeah, a lot of vocal harmonies do this. So some parts go up while the melody's going down, and vice versa, right? And sometimes you get a harmony, like Chet did this beautiful thing in Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And then,
Yes.
yeah, you know.
It's very pianistic too.
Yeah, it's very Hollywood as well, and there were so many incredible arrangements came out of, you know, the 30s, 40s, 50s in Hollywood movies, and the music is truly amazing. So, you know, I stole that idea immediately. One day I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far. So forth. And I'm always looking for something that sounds vocal, that is, it kind of sounds like it's written in stone. The important thing to me is interpreting the melody properly. What I learned through my life thus far is that if you want to learn a song and come up with an arrangement, you've got to learn the melody as Chet would say, as the composer intended.
Yes.
So learn the melody properly first. Don't go learning all the other fancy schmancy stuff that so many creative people do. Learn the melody properly first, learn the right chords. Then, if you want to change it and make it your own thing, you can do that. But you've got to learn the melody properly first. People often say to me, how did you come up with this arrangement of Classical Gas, right? So I learned the original from my friend Mason. Hello, Mason.
Williams, yeah.
As a solo piece, it just took too long to get going. The public, when you're playing in bars and stuff like I was all those years ago, people have the attention span of a 3-year-old. Right. You've got to slap.
You're being generous, I think, too.
you got to keep it rocking, and things have to keep moving and grooving and all that stuff, you know. So what I did is, out of necessity, I changed everything about it, and I purposely didn't play the original version because it just didn't work as a solo piece.
Right.
I just took the iconic parts, which is right, and then they're the 3 iconic parts.
Yeah.
Right. So I just built the rest of it around it, and I just threw it out there, you know, and people loved it. They responded straight away. I always judge how something's going by audience response, because that's my job. I'm playing. My job is to play for people. I judge what my work is like and how I'm performing it, how it comes out by your response. You know, so you're my yardstick. You're my quality control. I'm talking to you out there, you know.
If you take a song like Somewhere Over the Rainbow, that has such a sophisticated chord progression. That versus if you're doing a Beatles song, for example, that may have a simpler chord progression. You're always bringing different things in there, different techniques to make the...
But the bottom line is I'm still interpreting the melody correctly, hopefully. You know? When I play Lady Madonna, my biggest decision is how do I want to make it feel?
Yeah.
You know? So I want the singing part to be like Paul McCartney's Lady Madonna. Right? So, wonder how you managed to. So,
how do you just play like that without even? I mean, you didn't even warm up or anything.
I warmed up at 6 o'clock this morning. Now, well, I'm thinking like a singer. When I play, see, let's do a quick thing here. Here's what happens when you're learning a new song that's complicated, like Lady Madonna. You don't play anything else. Only that for at least until you can play it well.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, how long would it take you to actually play, to do the bass and the melody together?
Well, I've been playing Lady Madonna. I'm trying to remember when I worked it out. It was in the late 70s.
Yeah. I've heard you play it for years.
I've played it many different ways, and I play it differently now to what I did 2 years ago. And I just played it a little differently then, you know? So, which tells you that I'm free now. I'm not wrestling with the skill of playing this song, right? What I'm doing is I'm putting my mojo on the melody, right? So all the rest of it is all taken care of because I played it enough. But when you're working out something like this, it's not music yet, it's skill, okay? So you've got to work out carefully, and people don't want to do this, but there is no other way.
No.
You've got to start out bar by bar, little bit by little bit, and practice it and practice it and practice it until it comes together, and then something happens with our brain. And what it is our attention suddenly goes to the melody, and everything else starts to feel good, but our attention goes to the melody. Well, I shouldn't say we, because I have to speak for myself, because it may be different for you, you know? So our little grey cells, how they work. But so when I play Lady Madonna now, all I'm thinking about is how do I want to make it feel, right? And I enjoy it. I love the song. It's so beautifully written, as everything is with Paul McCartney. You work out the skill of playing it, and with enough playing and enough dedication, that skill turns to music. And girls and boys, that's a great reason to get out of bed.
That is a great reason. Okay, so I want to know, though, what is hard for you to play? Is there something that you're, oh man, that's hard to play.
A lot of the stuff that I write, if I don't practice it, I play it on stage and I come off going, what the hell was that? You know, why aren't my hands doing what they do? I have nights where I come off stage mad at myself because I haven't come up to where I need to be. I'm trying to push myself, you know. And I realize, like if I listen to something I recorded 20 years ago, I struggle with it today. But back then, I was all over it. I was just hosing the hell out of it. And it all came and flowed, and it sounded perfect. The tuning was great. The timing was good. Okay, that's good. And then, you know, today, if I don't play that song 10 times today, I will struggle with it.
So that's the thing. It's like really keeping up on it, warming up, practicing, and playing
just
every
playing
day.
the songs, you know. You know, what was I playing this morning? I was playing, I was running over a song that I wrote with Chet Atkins a long time ago, because I wanted to put it into my show and tell the story, because it's an interesting story. But I was running it. It's called Chet's Ramble. I was just running it down because there's a couple of little parts in it that needed some skill work and stuff like that.
Okay, so, when you say skill work, what does that mean? That means like attention to detail or something?
Attention to detail, making sure that every move is like there's a part in the song where there's a key change. The song's in A, there's a key change into C, and here that you know what I mean?
Yes, yeah,
just that move.
Just
to get to that clean. So that melody just does that, right? And sounds like it has a life of its own. So now we're back to the original key. And the ending, and the going home chord. There it is. That chord signals to me that we're going home. You know, so this one. Then the ending, sound of the mandolin. Right. So in order for me to get that clean, I had to work on those. So just getting to that.
So somebody like Chet in his prime, when you go back and listen to the recordings and when you were growing up listening to him playing.
Yeah, well, I was watching him yesterday, and
yeah,
beautiful hands.
Unbelievable.
Just beautiful.
Yeah.
I've never seen somebody practice that much, you know?
When I go and watch old videos of him and thinking of him coming up with these things, when there was nobody had done that before, and he's thinking of this stuff.
His arrangement skills were honed out of, like the rest of us, out of necessity, you know? So he's working in a radio show. He's working with the Carter family, and he gets a little spot, so he's got to have some pretty fancy stuff to play for 2 minutes and 30 seconds or whatever it is, you know? And then he's doing this radio show, and he gets to the radio at 4 in the morning and listens to the latest acetate of what's popular, works out an arrangement of it, plays it that day in the show, then moves on to the next one, you know? So his arrangement skills is like, okay, I've got 2 minutes and 30 seconds. How can I make every second of this really good? That's, you know, and then how can I do it before lunch?
At that time, even guys like Wes Montgomery would always play contemporary songs. He would do arrangements of contemporary songs. It's right when they came out. Exactly, right?
Oh, yeah.
That was like a big thing, was to stay on top of whatever contemporary music was doing, and if you were an instrumentalist.
Well, I guess if you wanted airplay or you wanted to sell records.
Right.
You know, there are purists in every form. You know, there are bluegrass guys who probably turn their nose up at what I do. You know, we don't plug in bluegrass. You know, do in my bluegrass. But I love all kinds of music, and I try to remain an open vessel. That's the important thing to me.
Yes.
I need to be open, so whatever's in the universe that I am hoping is going to flow through me and flow out to you and make you feel great. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to say anything about myself. I'm trying to say I'm open and willing. Give me something to work on, you know.
Tommy, if you're going to sit down and listen to something, let's say you're getting in your car driving around, and
I listen all the time.
Let's say you're thinking to yourself, because I do this sometimes. I'm like, man, what's something I haven't heard in a long time that I want to listen to? And I just rack my brain for something back, from 30, 40 years ago, whatever.
Oh, okay.
Like, what's something that you haven't listened to, or that would be something like that?
Well, let's see. If it's something I haven't listened to for a while, I usually go back to American Pie, Don McLean.
Don McLean, yeah.
Wow, those songs, Yeah. Christopher Cross's album is beautiful.
Yeah.
I'll never be the same without you.
Oh, yeah.
All that stuff, Ride Like the Wind. There's that style of thing.
Yeah.
And then some days I just want to hear Stevie Ray Vaughan,
Yeah.
But when I'm in my car, I have a car that has XM, Sirius XM radio.
Yep.
And I always go to the Beatles channel, which I love. Mm-hmm. And I always go to 60s and 70s, and sometimes 80s. If I want to hear Michael Jackson, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, or Earth, Wind and Fire. But, I have never been a guy who only studies guitar players. I could care less. The world is full of great players, and there are players out there who can play rings around me. But
that's actually not true.
I'm not in competition with them. I'm trying to just do my own thing. But like, for instance, this morning I was practicing and everything, and then while I was eating my breakfast, what did I watch? I watched Steve Gadd play, because I want to be influenced by someone as good as him. I want to take his influence and put it here. And then sometimes when I'm cooking, I'll put on Sinatra live at the Sands. How did all these people get in my room? Just to hear a guy sing that well, and the arrangements, and hear Freddie Green go,
oh yeah, the best.
Oh, beautiful. And Quincy Jones arrangements, Count Basie Orchestra. I try to listen to every kind of thing that there is out there. If something doesn't touch me, or I feel it's soulless, then I don't listen to it. I turn it off immediately, because I don't want to waste my hearing. You know what I mean? Life is too short. If I can't enjoy it and get a soulful experience from this, whatever it is, watching, listening, or both, then I just turn it off and just have silence.
When you're out there touring, are you always just reading the room? You're a master of that, really. I mean,
I'm not a master of anything.
No. You can really
don't listen to him.
You can really read a room, though, right?
Well, it's about the people. It's about what's going on.
Yeah.
What you get back. You know, and somebody was asking me the other day about, you know, they were at a show I played at Berkeley Concert Hall in Boston.
Yeah.
And I went out there with all the enthusiasm of a 18-year-old, and I just felt that the audience were asleep at the wheel.
Yeah.
There was something about them, and I don't know what it was, but there was something, and the harder I tried, the worse it got.
The more it sucked your energy out, right?
So by the end of the show, I thought, I really gave it everything, and it just, because the night before, people were throwing babies in the air, going nuts, you know? And I felt that I was playing okay that night. But that's the business, you know? That's show business. You just never know. And when I get asked in an interview, you haven't asked me yet, but when I get asked in an interview, what do you do if you're having a bad night? Mm-hmm. You know, if you're tired or you're you know, it's just not coming together for it. What do you do? And the answer is, you better have some good songs to play.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So even on my worst night, I can stand on my material. I can stand there and play my songs, and I can stand on them and know that even on my worst night, it's still going to be okay because I believe in this music.
So I want to ask you too about, how does the room that you're in, but forget about the audience, but the actual room and the sound of the room affect your playing, or just your sound in general? Are there nights when your guitar sounds phenomenal in a room and you can play anything?
Yeah, small rooms are really great for that, you know. But there's something great about being in a big room and hearing your guitar out there, you know. Oh man, it's awesome. And I have an amazing sound guy, and so even on our worst night, my sound is still going to be pretty damn good, and I know that. And I keep my setup real simple. I don't have I have one pedal on stage. It's a tuner that mutes. That's it. I don't have anything else, right? The sound has to come from here, 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 and here.
Yeah.
And here.
Yeah. But Tommy, you do adjust for things, like on this guitar, for example, because of the setup. You hadn't played this guitar really.
No, this is a stranger to me.
And so tell me about just this guitar. As soon as you start playing an instrument, you start doing these adjustments, right?
Yeah, well, when I picked up this guitar, it was tuned low and it's got light strings on it that I would never use. So what I did is I tuned it up, it's probably, I can't quite tell, but it's probably close or a little above concert pitch, right? So it's probably 445 or something like that. So,
just to make the strings a little stiffer, right?
And to get a bit of volume out of it, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, you hear it?
Yeah.
It's dying up there. But this guitar is a good Gibson. It just needs some good strings,
but you still adjust. You can totally adjust, and this is why you're a pro, though.
You have to.
I mean, seriously, I just know that about you. I've never met you before, but I just think Tommy is a pro. He can pick up any guitar and play and sound amazing.
Well, I don't know. I can try. I can try.
Okay, if you're going to play one song of your own compositions, Tommy, what's something that you'd love to play
for you right now?
Yeah.
While you watch me play?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, he's going to get bigger in the screen. Well, what I was playing when I was warming up there before, Mombasa, is a song I wrote in Africa, and because it's a straight pick song, I can get some more clarity out of this instrument like this.
Beautiful.
So this, whatever I do with my hands, this keeps going. This is my metronome, my left foot. So if I want to change the feel of phrasing, I can just do that as long as this just keeps going, you know.
Your feel is amazing. I mean, just all
music's all about feeling.
It's all about feel.
You know, that's why we are in love with when B.B. King plays something. He doesn't play much, but the moment he plays, it's all feeling. And he just kills us, you know. I'm glad to talk about feeling because, you know, people get too obsessed about technique and abilities and blah, blah, blah. And really, most of us who do okay in this business, we're not focused on that. We're focused on how good is this song and how much of my heart can I pour into it.
But time feel is the...
Oh, it's so
That's
important.
everything.
Time is not a magazine.
That's how I used to tell people when I was a producer.
I bet. Well, you know, it's really funny. When I was young, working with people and I was really enthusiastic, I'm sure I was always speeding up and always trying to make people get excited and all that. And I had to learn to work with a metronome. I had to learn, stop, slow down, listen, and get in the groove. I work with a metronome a lot, you know, and it's good for me. And the funny thing is, it shows you areas where you pull back and areas where you lean forward. But if you can do and keep that pulse going, you can do that. You can move it around, but it's still there. And for the cause of emotion, I can pull it back or I can move it forward.
I like to say that you can play anything if you have great feel. Or you could play all wrong notes. If it feels good...
If it feels that there's something magical about
right.
it. Yeah. Well, I always tell people, you've got to work on your time. I say, there would not be one butt on a seat in my show if I didn't play with a groove. Because it's groove that makes the body move, you know? It's all about groove and time.
When I think of you, I think, oh, Tommy's always working on songs and arrangements. Do you ever just practice technical things, or no, just technical things too?
Of course, yeah.
What's something that you would practice or that you've been practicing? Something that you would work on?
Well, one of the things I like to do is improvise and change keys. Like I'll take like a blues shuffle. So. Yeah. So I'm going up in semitones,
That's
what I'm
amazing.
doing is I'm practicing going from one idea to the next without stopping, mistakes and all, just to get my blood flowing
Yeah,
and my
yeah,
ideas
yeah.
flowing. And so, you know, and maybe I'll do it in that case, then maybe I'll do like same kind of thing, but in a different tempo, you know, like. Something like that.
That is amazing.
Yeah. Well, I'm just improvising stuff, and I'm just you know, and that's I'm already breaking out in a bit of a, you know. See, that's what that does to you. You know, it's like you're on the spot. Go.
Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the importance of improvising. How important it is to be able to improvise.
Oh, because it's fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's fun to improvise, and every now and again you put your fork in the ground and you hit a piece of gold.
Yeah.
You know, every now and again I'll strike something. You know, but I mean, guys like Jack Pearson, they walk around with gold in their pockets. You know, if you want to hear a great improviser, Jack Pearson is one of the greatest I've ever heard.
Yeah.
You know, Larry Carlton is a great improviser.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robin Ford's a great improviser.
Fantastic.
There's so many guys out there. The thing I love about jazz is, like, when I play with Martin Taylor, Martin is so authentic in his playing and his style and his sound that he transports me immediately. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I immediately take on the role of just being the timekeeper and making it swing and all that, because I want to hear him say what he says.
Right.
And sometimes it touches me so much that I get a sore face from smiling all night. Isn't that beautiful?
It's great.
You know, and playing with Jack Pearson's the same thing. It's breathtaking, and I love being around guys like that. And a guy like Frank Vignola, he'll push me until he'll get the best out of me. As Joni Mitchell would say, I'm unfettered and alive. You know, I'm not here to try and impress other musicians with my bebop knowledge, man. There are guys out there that are just unbelievable. But, you know, to try and get them to, can we just play the melody? That's not easy, you know what I mean? And I know Chet had that issue trying to produce Lenny. Just, can you just play the melody one time round? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, a guy like Frank Vignola and we worked out. And so I immediately didn't have to do anything. And then I got him to play the melodies, just like I said, just play the melody like Paul McCartney sings it. Don't move from that. And I'll do this. So I went. There's the backing vocals, right?
Yep.
Then it, check this out.
Beautiful. Wow.
See, I did that underneath.
Beautiful.
And it worked, and it was unexpected. There's that surprised me again, right? I came up with that as long as he played the melody.
That's right.
Just play the melody, you know?
Yeah.
To find somebody like that is a wonderful thing, you know? Someone who loves the melody with the same passion I do. I did an album a few years ago with my friend John Knowles, who's a wonderful arranger and a big Lenny fan as well and all. And that gave me the opportunity to be the lead singer. I didn't, do anything, a lot of embellishments, none of that stuff. I just played the melody, like Cold Cold Heart. It doesn't need anything else.
Amazing.
And so he's playing beautiful changes underneath and keeping it simple. And like...
Oh.
We belong to you. So that's how I approach the melody, like the singer, and little things like I find ways of being able to always make it feel like it's got a sweetness to it, and I know when I want to do like a harmony part, like for instance in now I need a chord.
There you go.
Nothing. And a little piano-y type, Ray Charles type little thing, you know.
Tommy, your playing is so dynamic too. Talk about the importance of playing with dynamic. I mean, every
so
note
important.
is different. Every phrase is different.
Where did I learn it from? I learned
where
it
did
from
you learn
Sinatra
from?
singing,
Yeah.
and from, the great players who do it well, you know. But what I'm trying to do is express things in a singing way, because I love singers, you know, and I love trying to do things that make the guitar more like a voice. It's the same thing with, like, you know, Buddy Rich or Steve Gadd or any of those guys. They're not playing the drums. They're playing music, you know. I'm not playing the guitar. I'm playing music on this. This is the instrument, but it's the music that's important. I feel that sense of freedom from learning songs and performing them and weeding out all the stuff that I don't need. You know what I mean? All the things that maybe when I was 14 I thought I can really impress these people with all this stuff I know, and they might have been impressed, and that might have been good. But when I grew up a little, I realized I don't need to do that. I need to play the song with all my heart, and that's all that matters. Don't fall for trying to, win an Oscar here. Just play the song,
Talk about the difference between playing electric guitar or electrified acoustic. How do you how do you think about the rhythmic things that you do if you're tapping on the guitar or playing with a brush or anything like that?
All right. Well, that's the Matins that I use.
Yeah.
And that's my main guitar.
Yep.
We're here today at Gibson, so I'm holding a Gibson, and I love Gibson guitars. But my Matin guitars have a piezo, 6 individual piezos under here,
yep,
and a microphone, and nothing comes close electrically to a Matin guitar. That's by far the best. And so I can crank it, and I cover the hole and turn the mic flat out, right?
Yep.
So then I can do stuff where I scratch the face up a little and get it rough and make the sound of a right. Then I play bass with my left hand and make the sound of a bass player and a drummer together. So that's one thing. Then the other things I do are I'll play drummers. Right? I'm going to do all that sort of stuff, and all the people from Gibson are running over. Yeah, so
it's a different, but it's a totally different kind of concept, right? When you're doing that.
Basically, it's me being a drummer.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm a drummer who plays the guitar. Right? So I'm doing stuff like. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you got the. Yeah, so I do all that in the name of entertainment. It's still musical, but it's really, it started out as just a surprise thing. Back in the 70s when I was playing Takamine, they were the only guitar that had a decent pickup in those days.
I remember that, yeah.
They were the first to really have a pretty damn good pickup system for an acoustic guitar. And I had to deal with Bose in those days. So the combination of the Takamine with a Bose PA with bass subs as well as high end, that was a pretty good sound.
And that gave you the idea when you would hit that with
I just spiked the mid range, and then all the sounds would come out. And then when I got the Matins with the pickups and mic system, that opened up a whole nother world to me.
Yeah.
And so I could start to do stuff that sounded like a drummer and a percussionist together.
Yeah.
Because the guitar has lots of different sounds. You've got that there.
Yep.
So you can think of that like a cowbell, and then you've got boom boom for the bass drum.
Yep.
So. You got all that. Then you got that. So that kind of thing, and you got all those sounds, and then with the pickup being right here, sometimes I use a real thick, jagged, triangular pick that'll just cut a hole right through your guitar. You know what I mean? And I go like that, and it sounds like a dinosaur or something, like that, right? And I'm just looking for sounds, and I sacrifice my instruments. I've sacrificed several guitars in the name of entertainment.
You got to do it, right?
Well, and they've been amazing. I still have a lot of them, I mean, if I owned a guitar like this, I wouldn't scar it up, I'd use it for playing and all that sort of stuff. But if I wanted to you know, start doing all that percussive stuff, then I would switch to a guitar that had that pickup system and was already marked up, you know. So people think all my guitars are marked up. They're not. I have some that are just beautiful. Like
some that you don't even play, right? You just look at.
I have a I have a Gibson Kalamazoo from 1934,
wow,
which is so light. I take it out of the box and it almost floats. It's so dry.
And
but
it has
what
such
a voice!
Beautiful tone. I bet,
what a
right?
voice! Oh yeah. I remember I used it on. And like that, and just milked that vibrato, and this thing just it just speaks, you know. But you can't travel a lot with an instrument like that.
No.
It's too fragile.
Yeah.
You know, the Matins are awesome. They really are. And but when I was a kid in Australia, the people that we were idolized, you know, Chet Atkins, Glenn Campbell.
Yep.
Eric Clapton, the Beatles, everybody had Gibsons, Martins, and Fenders.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, a couple of Rickenbackers in there too.
And Gretsch, of course. Chet was great, and Rickenbackers too. Yeah. My first good guitar was Australian-made Maiden, which is in their factory.
Yep.
And where I'll be stuffed and mounted in the factory there. You know. You hear about the lady who took the 2 minks to the taxidermist?
No.
And he said, "How do you want them mounted?" And she said, "No, just shaking hands will be fine." Yeah, so you know, watching Hank Williams playing his Martin, and everybody at the Opry seeing that. You know, I was just in love with American guitars, you know, and a lot of people played. One of the first really good players I saw in the flesh was a guy named Dave Bridge, and that's the first time I saw a 335.
Wow.
He had a red one, and he played it through a Fender, a Bandmaster, tilted back, a white one, or like a creamy coloured one with the brown, you know. I just remember that so well, and his guitar was shiny, and the lights flashed off it, and it was just gorgeous, you know. Whenever I talk with Joe Bonamassa about it, he's such a nerd, you know, and he's such a he's so passionate about his guitars. I love that about it.
Guitar solo. It's actually a dual solo, 2 different guitar players, and it's from a band that are notorious blockers. So I can only play a small bit of it. Here it is. Solo number 11 is by a guitarist that's not playing in one of his actual groups. He's actually sitting in with this band, who happen to be the biggest band of all time. Coming in at number 10 is a guitar solo that's also from a What Makes This Song Great video that I did on this particular band. This is one of my favorite solos by this guitarist, and I like it because it plays over the changes perfectly, and it's really unlike anything he ever played. It's an incredibly melodic solo. Check it out. Solo number 9 is by a band that I've never featured on my channel, and everyone asks me why I don't, because they're also notorious blockers, so I had to recreate a track and hope that it actually doesn't get taken down. But this is a phenomenal First songs I ever learned on the guitar, and it's actually the first guitar solo I ever learned. As a matter of fact, my mom used to play rhythm guitar while I practiced this solo. That's actually true. Solo number 7, I was going to play, but I actually can't stretch to reach the first lick. I used to be able to years ago, but it goes from 12 to 16 and 19. But the greatest part of this lick, the opening lick, is that it goes through these 4-1 plagal cadences from E to B to G to D. And the rest of the solo is killer too. Check it out. Solo number 6 is from a record that came out in 1982. In fact, the guitarist who's playing the solo actually sings the verse part in this, and he was one of the biggest session guitar players ever. Five. Now, once we get into the top 5, really any of these solos could have been number 1. All of the guitar players in the top 5 are probably my biggest influences. I really was into all their playing, studied it a lot, and I just really think that they're all amazing, amazing solos. Coming in at number 5.